What's going on, everybody? It's Amari James here with Greater by the Hour. And first of all, let me just say Happy New Year. Hopefully, you guys had a brilliant New Year. 2020 is here, and in this year, I'm planning to mostly upload on this channel a bit more and just continue on improve my photography career. So, in this video, I'm going to be showing you how I edit my photos. I've been talking to someone on Instagram. Let me just check out his name real quick, and a quick shout out to him as well for giving me this idea. Explore.urban. It goes of EXPLUR.urban. So you guys know how to spell urban, right? So he was talking to me about how I edit and what colors I use and all of that. And because I am red green colorblind, I don't know the official name for it. Most likely I'll edit it in, but because I'm that kind of colorblind, my colors are all off. So I think one of my pictures, I took it down now on Instagram, but it was of me taking a picture of a coffee, of a latte, next to my iMac at a cafe called F Mondays. It's in Brixton. It's a pretty nice cafe, but I'm just rambling on. But yeah, I saw in the comments that why it was either is that matcha green, is that matcha latte, or why is the coffee green? And I never knew. I thought it was brown. I was trying to increase the browns, but I still need to do some experimenting with my Lightroom skills. But talking about that, we are in Lightroom, right? I'm gonna use these images. Let me just unselect all. Funny enough, these shots were taken from when I did some photos for my borough in London. My borough is known as Lambeth. I think it's one of the biggest. I am not too sure on that, but I live in Lambeth, and yeah, just walking around Brixton and Stockwell, just taking some images. And also, if you can see, I have tea, not coffee this time, because as you can hear, my voice isn't the best, but ginger tea and honey, good for sore throats. But yeah, as we can see, this image is a bit, let me just turn up the brightness on my laptop. As we can see, the image is a bit like darkish. Let me just close this. So as you can see here, I have all my presets. What I use the North Borders and 7th Era presets. I've stopped using them because I want to get my own style. But as you can see, favorites, I got the Outcall, which is one of my favorites here. This is one of my presets, Clarity Bump, Evening Glow, Midnight Green. This is Gurnell Sterling's one, which is really cool, and I think this is 7th Era's one, Night Rain. But let's just get rid of these because we don't need them for this video. We're going to start from scratch. So what I normally do is either I go to automatic, where it's on the basics tab, you go to auto tone, I press auto, just see what the computer does, and that seems pretty good. As you can see, it fills out the highlights, it fills out the shadows. It kind of, as you can see here, it's kind of blown up where it says Pop Brixton. The sky's looking alright. Sorry if you can hear the fans, because this is a 13-inch MacBook. It's not the best with heat capacity, but let's just stop rambling on. But as you can see here, it's doing pretty well because I'm using the Lumix G5, and that day I was using the Sigma 18-35 with the Metabones EF to Micro Four Thirds adapter, so that was good to get the wide angle shots. So once you do that, as you can see, fills out the shadows, keeps the highlights, and because it's Micro Four Thirds, it's not the best dynamic range, especially my version of Lumix camera. But if anything's needed, I might bring down the exposure. Oh no, maybe it needs to bring up the shadows a bit. I want to show that it's like lively. Don't bring it too much because it shows that it's been overly edited. So let me just tune that down. In my editing style, I like to lower the vibrance to around 20 to 25 around. Let's just leave it 26 because I don't know, I just like that unsaturated look. I leave saturation alone, because too saturated it starts to look plastic and fake. Unsaturated, I go into more of the black and white. So also, if you want to get your sliders to 0, you just double tap where it says saturation and boom, just like that. I like to increase the clarity, nothing above like 50 or 60, sorry, because that's when it starts to get too processed. So I don't know, I think I might like at 30. Everything's alright. Bring up the contrast a bit. I do like my pictures contrasty. I've started to bring up the contrast a bit. Yeah, that's okay. So next off, I go to tone curves, and it took me a while to learn how to use the tone curves, but I haven't mastered it yet, but I've started to utilize it a bit more. So as you can see here where it says highlight shadows, it kind of, the highlights are basically the bright bits of the image. Whites is basically the whole brightness. So if I bring that down, like you can see the sky goes down, but if I bring this up, everything kind of gets blown out. So let me just bring that back. Highlights, as you can see, it's like kind of the sky, almost like that as well. Bring them down a bit. Shadows, as you can see, it's like the shadowy bits, which is quite accurate. But as you can see in the tone curves, as you can see in this histogram, the higher the spike on the right side is, left side, the higher the spike on the left side, sorry, the darker the image is all around. So as you can see, it's kind of picking up all these dark areas around here, as you can see, and then it's pretty okay with the highlights here. So as you can see, I can bring up those highlights. You can see it's a curve. What I like to normally do is do a S curve. So I like to just put little points here, 1, 2, bring down the shadows, bring up the highlights. But as you can see, it's way too contrasty. So if you want more contrast into your images, that's how you'll do it. But in this image, I might just bring up the shadows a bit. For that faded look, what I like to put into my shadows, I just bring up this last end point. If I bring it all the way up, it starts to make the darks into whites. And yeah, I like to have that faded look. And when it's up like that, I can kind of bring down the shadows a bit. Mid-tones, I don't really play around with these too much because I don't know, I just don't like using the middle section. But if I bring that down, you can see more blues into the sky, kind of darkens the whole image in general. Bring up those highlights just a tad, flatten those whites a bit. Oops, don't want that point. So as you can see here, I don't like how that's really bright, so I'm just gonna go down, bring down those whites, highlights, bring that down. As you can see, the image is quite flat, so I'm just gonna pump up that contrast. Boom. I don't think this was I think this was like high noon when I took it, so it's not the best picture. As you know that I'm a bit colorblind, well, I'm not a bit, I am colorblind. Can't really mess around with colors. I might change the saturation to make it pop more, so let's go to the blues. Hopefully that's blue, I don't know, maybe purple. Bit of saturation, but as you can see, the sky gets blown too blue. So what I like to do with the hue, I like to bring the blues just a bit to the aqua, and aqua straight to blue, so it kind of has that blue feel. Aqua is one of my favorite colors, especially aquamarine, but the only thing with it is that it's too green in the images. I don't like that. Quick tea break. It's starting to cool down a bit. It's become more like a iced tea. So let's stop talking. Magenta and purples, I don't play around with them. I do desaturate them half of the time, just so it's mostly it's like chromatic aberration, I don't know. Let's go to like the oranges. Just bring up saturation just a tad, so like all the colors here on Pop Brixton comes out a bit more, makes it more vibrant, makes the place look happier. Don't think this image needs I don't think this image needs noise reduction. Sharpening it's alright. I don't really play around with that. Might just leave it. Lens corrections, I always go to it and I just remove chromatic aberrations. Oh, that's it. Chromatic aberrations. So I remove that. Sometimes if I'm using the right camera, because sometimes I use other people's cameras and I just transfer the SD cards, I might just enable profile corrections, but because of Micro Four Thirds, it doesn't. If I go into this make of the lens, it doesn't have lumens, so that's the annoying thing. But for the sake of this video, I'll use the Sigma 18 to 35. So I got Sigma 18 to 35, and as you can see, it kind of widens it, kind of takes out the distortion, so it's pretty cool. Vignette, I've started to use vignettes a bit more in this image. I don't really mind it, and yeah, so that's before and that's after. As you can see, it's a lot brighter, a lot punchier. And let's try with this image. This isn't the best image, I think. Yeah, this was just, I didn't focus it properly, but you get the same idea. Let me just copy this. So you press Command C. Don't want to move anything else. Also, when you're going to post on Instagram, or like if you're giving the image to a client and there's you got everything in frame, I always go to 4:5 by the aspect ratio, kind of compose it the way you want. And yeah, so everything's just all the same size, nothing's different. If I want it as a portrait, I'll just 4:5 again and then just tilt it up so it's more Instagram style. But yeah, that's how I always export my images. Let me go to this inside shot and I just press paste, and there you go. It kind of looks pretty good. So as you can see, it kind of brought up the oranges from the color. That's why I like to bring down the vibrance, because if I left the vibrance, normally it'll be way too like colorful, just it doesn't look natural. So just bring down the vibrance just a bit, so it kind of has that realism, but it also makes it look better and, well, yeah, more realistic. So just go to there. I might play with the clarity a bit more. Clarity also brings up the brightness just a bit. It's not too much, but I have seen that it brings up the whites a bit, and because of that, it takes away some of the saturation, blah blah blah. This image isn't too bad. I might just press auto one time just to check, and as you can see, it's not too bad. Let's go to the next image. This one was upstairs in Pop Brixton. Boom. As you can see, it's overblown, so when I just pasted from the first image, it's way too blown out. The whites are completely, there's no, just awful image. So I'll just press auto, boom. As you can see, it's gotten a lot more tame. So here's before and here's after. As you can see, the colors are more vibrant. Now I'm gonna bring down the vibrance just a bit. I don't want it to be too dull like this, but also don't want it to be crazy. So let's bring it to around -60. So here's before and here's after. It looks way better. Let me just level this out if this can be leveled. Yep, boom. So as you can see here, it's quite a nice image actually. I did like shooting insides of Pop Brixton with the wide angle, so yeah, if you're down in in Brixton, just pop into Pop Brixton. It's a really nice place. Best ramen shop, Koi Ramen. It's just the best, in my opinion. But let's go to the last image on this and press paste. So this one isn't too bad. It's not too washed out, but let me just quickly go to auto tone. Boom, everything's alright. I might bring down the highlights just a bit. Bring down the whites a bit. Just keep that, maintain the sky. That's basically my whole vibe. Just maintain the vibe. Sky, not the vibe. Bring down the vibrance just a bit. Wait a sec, I need to charge my laptop because it's saying it's on 16%. word of warning to you guys, if you are using a MacBook Pro to edit when you're on the go, always charge it, because Lightroom just saps out all the energy. But anyways, let's just quickly check. So it's looking good. Let me just change the level. Boom, it's looking nice. Now I don't like these people in the image, so I'll do another tutorial on how to remove people in your images if you don't want them there. But for this instance, I'm just going to be quick. Just going to crop them out. Boom, just want Brixton Leisure Recreation Centre in the image. So as you can see, if you are shooting where it's public, in a public place, wait for people to go past. Like the building or the subject of what you're shooting will always be there, so take your time. I was on a strict time limit of like 4 hours, so every location I was in, I'd spend around, there's around like different, like 17 different areas in Lambeth, so I had to shoot all of that, so I had to spend like 10 minutes per area, so it was just so quick and rapid. So if you do have the time, take your time, wait for people to walk past, and boom, get the shot, and there you go. But for the time being, I'm just gonna leave it like that, just for tutorial purposes. My image, alright, so this is how I edit my my images on Lightroom. I'm going to do another tutorial on how I shoot more complex architecture. This was just a little taster because this is my first video of 2020. I want to start it off, get the ball rolling. Hopefully you guys did like this video. Please like and subscribe for more videos like this, and yeah, be tuned for the next video.